Lyra HFY stepped off the small transport ship with calm, measured steps. The docking bay of Unity Station stretched far around her, filled with voices, footsteps, machines, and the bright colors of different alien uniforms. To the many species walking past her, she looked like a normal new cadet, small, silent, and unsure of her place. Her dark hair fell softly near her shoulders, and her simple cadet clothes made her blend in with dozens of new students arriving that day. But behind her calm eyes, something else lived, something hidden. Lyra kept her gaze low, as she was taught. She did not want attention. Attention was dangerous. Attention meant questions, and questions could break her entire mission before it even started. To the aliens around her, she seemed weak, but she was not weak. She was humanity's last weapon, though she would never say that out loud. She walked through the busy hall until she reached the registration platform. A tall, insect-like officer with 4 gentle eyes scanned her ID card. Lyra HFY, human, new cadet, assigned to Group C9, the officer read in a soft voice that buzzed slightly. Lyra nodded politely. You seem nervous, the officer added. Lyra kept her tone quiet. Just new here, that's all. The officer gave an approving nod, returning her ID. Welcome to Unity Station. Learn well, train well, and stay safe. She thanked them and moved on. Unity Station was known across many star systems as the greatest training center in peaceful cooperation. Species from over 20 worlds gathered here to learn defense, science, and exploration. The Academy building alone stretched like a shining ring through the center of the station, bright lights reflecting off smooth metal floors. Groups of cadets stood together, laughing and talking. Some had scaled skin, some had fur, some had wings, and some glowed with faint light. Lyra walked past silently. Humans were uncommon here. Many aliens whispered about humans, about their unpredictable nature, fast survival skills, and strong emotions. Some respected them, some doubted them. Most simply did not understand them. To many alien eyes, Lyra looked especially harmless. That was exactly what her mission required. She entered the large hall where new cadets gathered for their orientation. Screens on the walls showed maps of the station, rules, schedules, and training guides. Commander Vurak, a tall and muscular alien with dark blue skin, stepped forward. His eyes were bright gold, and his voice was deep but steady. Welcome, new cadets, he began. You come from different worlds. You bring different strengths. But here, you will learn to work as one. Cadets stood straight, listening carefully. You will train hard. You will think smart. You will support each other. Unity is our strength. Remember that. Lyra listened quietly. She respected his words, but her mission was not about teamwork. Her mission was about survival, not her own, but humanity's. Because far beyond Unity Station, something dangerous was moving through space. Something without shape, without sound, without mercy. Something that consumed whole systems. Humans called it the blank tide, and Lyra was the only one who could connect with it. After orientation, cadets moved to their rooms. Lyra entered her small cabin, clean, simple, and silent. Just a bed, a small desk, and a single screen for study. She sat down and slowly removed her gloves. Small soft lines glowed under her skin for a second, like faint silver threads. They disappeared quickly. Inside her, hidden deep within her nervous system, was a core unlike anything the station had ever seen. Human scientists created it after many long years of fear and struggle. They built it to understand the blank tide, to read it, to follow it, and hopefully, one day, to stop it. But for the core to work, Lyra needed information, alien information. The blank tide affected all species, not only humans. And Unity Station was the place where she could quietly observe, learn, and gather knowledge without raising suspicion. She touched the side of her head. The core warmed gently, matching her heartbeat. Not yet, she whispered to herself. Stay quiet. The Corps calmed down. There was a knock on her door. Lyra quickly put her gloves back on. Come in. The door opened, and a tall reptilian cadet with pale green scales stepped inside. His eyes were soft and friendly. Greetings. I am Storym. I live in the room next to yours, he said in a warm tone. I try to greet new cadets on this floor. It helps to build comfort. Lyra blinked, surprised. Most aliens ignored her. She appreciated his kindness. I'm Lyra. Human, she said. Storym nodded. I know. I have met humans before. They speak fast and move fast. You seem calm. That is good. Lyra smiled a little. Thank you. Storym shifted gently. The station can be large and confusing. If you need help, ask me. I do not mind. Lyra nodded. I appreciate it. Good. Storym turned to leave, then paused. One more thing. Tomorrow we have our first training in the simulation hall. It is a team exercise. Stay close to your group. Lyra nodded again. Storym left and the door slid shut. She sat quietly, thinking. A team exercise. She would have to act like a normal cadet. Not too fast, not too slow. She needed to avoid attention. Becoming too strong or too weak could expose her. She lay down on her bed and closed her eyes. Her breathing slowed. Her mind sank into silence. Inside her, the core stayed quiet like a sleeping heart of light. The next morning, Lyra followed the other cadets to the simulation hall. The room was huge, filled with platforms, holograms, and floating drones. The floor could shift, tilt, or split into layers depending on the exercise. Commander Vurak stood at the front again. Today is your first test, he announced. A simple obstacle course. You will move as a group. Communication is key. Groups were assigned. Lyra ended up in a team with Storym, a short avian cadet named Fury, and a strong quadruped cadet named Halvek. Halvek looked at Lyra with confusion. She is small. Will she keep up? Storym gently nudged him. She will. Do not judge by size. Lyra simply nodded, not wanting to argue. The simulation began. Walls moved, platforms shifted, lights flashed. Cadets had to climb, run, dodge, and think fast. Lyra kept her speed low, following her team from behind. But even while holding back, she noticed everything. Every weak point in the moving floor, every pattern in the shifting lights, every mistake other cadets almost made. Her eyes recorded it all. At one point, Fury slipped on a turning platform. Lyra reacted quickly, not too quickly, but fast enough to seem normal, and caught her before she fell. Thank you, Fury chirped. Lyra nodded. Be careful. They completed the course. Not first, not last. Exactly in the middle. Commander Vurak watched her with narrowed eyes. She pretended not to notice. Later that afternoon, Lyra sat alone at the cafeteria table. She ate quietly, keeping her head low. Around her, alien cadets talked loudly about the day's training. Storym approached and sat across from her. You move very carefully, he said. You avoid attention. Lyra paused. Is that bad? Storym shook his head. No, but unusual. You always seem to know where to step. Her heart tightened for a moment. Was she too obvious? Storym continued. But that is a good skill. Many cadets fall because they rush. You do not. Lyra relaxed a little. I just watch. That is smart, Storym said. They ate quietly for a moment. Then, suddenly, all the lights flickered. The floor vibrated softly. A deep hum passed through the air. Cadets and officers looked up, confused. The vibration lasted only a second, then stopped. Commander Vurak's voice came through the speakers. Remain calm. A sensor glitch is being fixed. Continue your activities. But Lyra knew it was not a glitch. She felt a soft pulse inside her chest, the core responding. Something outside the station had sent a signal, something the core recognized. She froze. Soren noticed her stillness. "Are you all right?" She nodded slowly. "Yes, just tired." But inside, she felt one cold, clear thought. The blank tide was getting closer, and she had very little time. The next morning, Unity Station felt different. The halls were busy as always, filled with cadets hurrying to class and officers reviewing reports, but the air carried a strange tension. Overnight, the station engineers checked every sensor, wire, and system after the unexplained vibration. They found nothing wrong. Everything looked normal. Everything worked perfectly. But Lyra knew the truth. Something outside the station had touched her core. Something searching. Something familiar. She kept her expression calm as she walked with other cadets to the training wing. Her steps were soft and slow, as if she were just another nervous student. But inside, her thoughts moved quickly. Why now? Why here? Did the blank tide really sense her already? She pushed the thoughts away. Showing fear would be dangerous. She needed to stay silent, unnoticed. Commander Vurak stood at the front of the training hall, arms crossed, his golden eyes scanning the cadets. When his gaze passed over Lyra, she felt it linger for half a second longer than normal. She didn't react. "Today," Vurak announced, "you will face simulation drills in mixed groups. No group will have all members from the same species. This teaches trust across differences." Several cadets nodded. Some grumbled quietly. Lyra stood still. "You will be judged on teamwork, decision-making, and awareness," the commander continued. "Do not rush. Do not panic. Let your mind lead your body." For a brief moment, Vurak's eyes once again found Lyra. She wondered if he already suspected something. The simulation chamber changed shape as the program loaded. Walls rose from the floor. Bridges extended across gaps. Holographic enemies flickered to life. A small challenge for learning. Nothing too dangerous. Lyra's new group consisted of 4 cadets. Soren, calm and gentle as always. Rensa, a tall avian with bright feathers. Kivar, a strong, stone-skinned cadet with serious eyes. Lyra, the small, quiet human Rensa, flapped her wings lightly. "Humans run fast, right? You can distract the enemies while we move." Kivar frowned. "Humans break easily. Let her stay behind us." Soren gave them both a firm look. "Let her choose her place." Lyra spoke softly. "I can stay middle. Not fast, not slow." Only Soren nodded with confidence. The others accepted reluctantly. The simulation began. Holographic drones flew toward the group, firing small, harmless sparks meant to test reflexes. Kivar stepped forward, blocking the first shots with his thick arms. Rensa used her wings to jump between platforms. Soren guided them with clear instructions. Lyra walked behind, observing everything. Every drone moved with a pattern. Every platform had a weak spot. Every sound echoed with information. Her eyes tracked all of it in perfect detail. Her mind recorded it quietly. She helped her team avoid mistakes. Subtle words, small gestures, gentle guidance. Nothing too noticeable. But when a drone suddenly broke the pattern and flew straight at Rensa, Lyra reacted too fast. Her hand shot out, pulling Rensa down before anyone else even saw the danger. Rensa gasped. "How did you—" Lyra immediately stepped back. "I saw the reflection in the metal," she lied with a steady voice. "Lucky reaction." Kivar narrowed his eyes. Soren looked thoughtful. They continued the simulation. Lyra forced herself to move slower, to hide her speed and awareness. Even so, she quietly saved her team from 2 more mistakes. One unstable platform and a falling beam. Each time she acted, she pretended it was chance. But Commander Vurak watched from above, analyzing every movement, and he was not fooled. After training, the group sat on a bench in the hall. Rensa stretched her wings. "Lyra, you saved me 3 times today. Humans have good eyes, yes?" "Sometimes," Lyra replied softly. It is more than sometimes, Kivar muttered. No one reacts that fast. Not even my species. Soren looked at Lyra directly. His gaze was kind but curious. You learned our movement rhythm very quickly. Lyra lowered her eyes. I study. Kivar crossed his arms. Study is one thing. Predicting the drones before they move is another. Rensa laughed lightly. Maybe humans are more impressive than we think. Lyra forced a small smile, trying to keep the mood calm. I just got lucky. Kivar didn't look convinced, but he said nothing more. Later in the day, cadets attended a lecture in a large hall. Lyra sat in the back row, trying to stay unnoticed. The lecture was about energy anomalies in deep space, exactly the topic she feared. On the screen, an instructor showed maps of star systems disappearing with no trace. Systems that turned dark, as if erased. The cause is unknown, the instructor said. We call it the blank tide. It consumes but leaves no energy readings behind. Many races are studying it. Lyra felt her heart tighten. Kivar raised a hand. Why has it changed direction recently? Soren added softly. Why is it moving toward the central systems now? The instructor shook his head. We do not know, but we are still gathering data. Lyra felt the core inside her warm again, responding to the word blank tide. She placed a hand on her chest to steady herself. She wasn't supposed to draw attention. She wasn't supposed to react, but the core was evolving on its own. She looked down at her desk, hiding her face. Stay calm, she whispered inside her mind. Not here. Not now. Slowly, the heat faded, but someone had noticed. Commander Vurak stood at the back of the room, arms folded, watching her with sharp eyes. When the lecture ended, Lyra hurried out of the hall. She needed silence. She needed time to suppress the core again. But as she turned a corner, Vurak stepped into her path. Cadet Hemsley. Lyra stopped. Yes, Commander? You reacted during the lecture. I was confused by the information, she answered. Vurak studied her. You seem very quiet, very controlled. You speak only when needed, yet your actions in the simulation show strong awareness. Lyra kept her face still. I try my best. The commander leaned down slightly, his golden eyes level with hers. I am watching you, Cadet. Be honest with me. Are you hiding something? Lyra's heart beat louder. Her fingers were cold, but her voice stayed soft and steady. No, Commander. I only want to learn. Vurak stared at her for a long moment. Finally, he nodded. Very well. But remember, Unity Station values honesty. Secrets can be dangerous. He stepped aside. Lyra walked away, breathing quietly. She didn't look back. That evening, she returned to her small room and closed the door. The moment she was alone, she dropped to her knees, breathing fast. The core inside her pulsed like a second heartbeat. You cannot activate here, she whispered sharply. Not yet. Not until we know more. The core dimmed slowly, calming down. She sat against the wall, thinking. If the blank tide sensed her once, it could sense her again. If Unity Station learned what she carried, they might not trust her. They might even try to remove the core, and without it, humanity would have no chance at all. She needed to remain invisible. She needed more information. She needed to act carefully. A soft knock came at her door. Lyra quickly stood up and opened it. Soren stood there holding a small data tablet. You left this in the hall, he said gently. Lyra blinked. She did not remember dropping it. Her mind had been too distracted after the lecture. Thank you, she said. Soren tilted his head. Are you all right? You looked worried today. Lyra hesitated. She couldn't tell him the truth, but she also didn't want to lie too harshly. Just tired, she said. Soren nodded slowly. If anything troubles you, you can speak to me. I do not judge. Her chest felt tight for a moment. She wished she could tell him everything, but she couldn't. Not now. Thank you, Soren, she said softly. He smiled and left. Lyra closed the door and leaned against it. Outside, the stars shone through the station windows. Somewhere among those stars, the blank tide was moving. And she knew it would come again. Lyra woke the next morning feeling strangely cold, even though her room was warm and quiet. For a moment, she lay still on her bed, staring at the ceiling. Something in the air felt different. Not dangerous, not loud, just different. Like a soft whisper she could not hear with her ears. She placed a hand on her chest, where the hidden core rested deep inside her. The core felt warm, almost awake. "Not now," she whispered. "Stay quiet." But the warmth did not fade this time. It stayed there, steady and alive, pulsing faintly like a second heartbeat. She got dressed slowly and stepped out into the hallway. Cadets moved past her, laughing, talking, and carrying their training gear. Everything looked normal. Everything sounded normal. But she felt a thin thread of tension inside her body, a quiet warning. Soren noticed her the moment she reached the lift. "You look pale," he said gently. "Did you sleep well?" Lyra forced a small nod. "Just tired again." Soren studied her for a moment, then let it go. "We have team training today. Stay close." "I will," she answered. She always stayed close, just not for the same reasons as everyone else. The training hall buzzed with activity. Holograms flickered, platforms rearranged themselves, and instructors checked their lists. Today's session would focus on emergency response, how to move during disasters, how to work together, how to stay calm when things fell apart. Lyra stood with her group, Soren, Rensa, and Kivar. Commander Vurak paced in front of the assembled cadets. "Today's lesson teaches you one of the most important skills in survival, staying collected when systems fail." He clapped his large hands once. The lights dimmed. The floor shifted. A simulated fire appeared in the far corner of the room. Everything was controlled, safe, and monitored. At least, it was supposed to be. The exercise began smoothly. Cadets moved through the course, helping one another, avoiding falling debris, and guiding injured holograms to safety. Lyra took the middle position again, letting the others lead while she observed. She didn't want to stand out. She didn't want to move too quickly. But then it happened. Lights flickered. Walls trembled. A deep hum, low and soft, spread across the hall and into Lyra's bones. Her steps froze. This hum was not part of the simulation. This hum was not natural. It was the same hum from 2 days ago. Her core reacted instantly. A soft glow spread beneath her skin, barely visible like pale silver light running along her veins. She grabbed her arm and hid it behind her back, but she saw Soren glance at her with concern. "Are you all right?" he whispered. "I'm fine," she said quickly. But she wasn't fine. The hum grew stronger. The holograms in the simulation flickered strangely, losing shape. Commander Vurak turned sharply. "Shut down the simulation! Power spike detected!" But before the technicians could respond, the entire room shook. Not violently, just enough for everyone to feel that something real had entered the station, something the systems were not prepared for. Then the lights cut out completely. Darkness. A moment later, a soft gray mist seeped from the air vents, flowing like smoke but without smell or temperature. It moved with quiet purpose. It moved like it was searching. Lyra's breath caught in her throat. She recognized it instantly. A shard of the blank tide. A small piece, but real. The mist drifted near the ceiling at first. Then it sank lower. Cadets began to panic. Some called out for instructors. Others ran for the emergency lights. Soren stepped closer to Lyra and shielded her with one arm. "Stay behind me." Lyra didn't move. She stared at the mist as if trapped in a silent memory. Kivar shouted, "Commander, what is that?" Vurak's voice stayed steady. "No one move! Stand together!" But the mist didn't approach the other cadets. It came straight toward Lyra. She backed away slowly, heart pounding. The core inside her responded with rising warmth, trying to activate itself. She fought it with all her will. "No," she whispered. "Not here. Not now." But the mist did not stop. It reached her feet and curled up around her legs, almost like it was smelling the air around her. Soren stepped in front of her, pushing her behind him. "Stay back!" he shouted at the mist. The mist ignored him. It rose higher, circling around Lyra's arm. The silver glow under her skin responded, brighter now, pulsing faster. She hid her glowing arm with her other hand, but couldn't stop it completely. Rensa gasped. "Her arm! What is that light?" Lyra knew she had seconds before the core activated fully. She had to act. She stepped out from behind Soren and raised her palm gently. "Soren, move back," she said softly. "What? No," Soren protested. "Please." Her voice was calm and steady. Something in her tone made Soren take one small step back, eyes full of worry. Lyra breathed slowly and reached out into the mist. The moment her fingers touched it, a bright flash of silver light erupted from her hand. Not dangerous, not hot, just pure energy. The mist froze, as if shocked. Then it pulled inward, gathering into a small, swirling mass the size of a hand. It floated just inches from her face. Her core opened itself fully, drawing in data. Lyra felt the information pour into her mind. Patterns, signals, echoes of distant systems, star maps, and warnings. It felt like thousands of voices without sound. She saw flashes of space consumed in silence. She saw a path, a direction, a target. She felt her breath stop as the information settled inside her mind. Earth. The blank tide was moving toward Earth. Her heart tightened painfully. She stumbled back, almost losing her balance. Soren caught her shoulders. "Lyra, are you—" Before he could finish, the mist dissolved into nothingness. The shard vanished completely like smoke blown away by wind. The lights flickered back on. Alarms sounded across the station. Commander Vurak rushed to the center of the hall. "Is everyone accounted for? What happened? Report!" Cadets shouted over each other. Rensa pointed at Lyra. "That mist went straight to her, and her arm glowed." Kivar stared hard at her. "Humans cannot do that. What are you?" Lyra opened her mouth, but no words came out. Her mind was spinning. She still saw flashes of stars inside her vision. She still felt the echo of the shard's message. Soren tightened his hold on her. "Let her breathe." "She looks ill." Commander Vurak looked directly at her, his face unreadable. "Cadet Hemsley, step forward." Her legs felt weak. She stepped forward anyway. "What happened?" Vurak demanded gently but firmly. Lyra lowered her head. "I don't know." It was not a complete lie. She did know more than she wanted to admit, but the truth would cause panic, and panic would destroy her mission. Vurak's eyes narrowed. "Your arm glowed. I saw it clearly. That was not normal human biology." Lyra felt Soren beside her, standing very close, as if ready to defend her. "I don't understand it," she said softly. "Maybe the mist affected me." Kivar gave a doubtful growl. "Mist does not make someone glow." Rensa nodded quickly. "Commander, she touched it. Everyone saw." Soren looked between them all. "She also saved us. If she had not stepped forward, that thing might have hurt someone." Vurak studied Lyra for several long seconds. Her heart felt like it would break through her ribs. Her hands shook softly. Finally, the commander spoke. "This is no longer a cadet-level matter. I must report this to the station council. Until then, Cadet Hemsley, you will remain under observation." Lyra felt cold. Observation meant questions, tests, scans, Machines that might detect the core. She could not allow that. But she nodded slowly. "Yes, Commander," Soren whispered. "Do not worry. We will help you." She didn't answer. She couldn't. The truth weighed heavy in her chest. The blank tide had found her, and now the station knew something was different about her. Her mission had just become far more dangerous. The next morning on Station Aurelia began with a strange silence. Hallways that were normally full of young cadets now felt almost empty. Only a few officers moved around, and most of them wore tense expressions. It was clear that something important was happening, something larger than the normal schedule. Alia walked through those halls with calm steps. She wore the same cadet uniform, simple and clean. But her presence felt different now. She moved like someone who had finally accepted her place. She carried herself with quiet strength, and every officer she passed gave her a respectful nod. They all knew now who she really was, even if most of them avoided staring for too long. Admiral Riven waited for her at the entrance to the command deck. His expression was sharp, but not unfriendly. When he saw her, he gave a small approving smile. "You didn't sleep much," he said, noticing the tired look under her eyes. "I slept enough," Alia replied. Her voice was steady. "I'm ready." "I believe you," Riven said. "But today won't be easy." He guided her inside. The command deck was already filled with activity. Officers stood around floating screens showing maps, energy readings, and long streams of coded messages. In the center, a hologram displayed something new, a red swirl expanding across space like a storm cloud. Alia stopped, staring at it. "What is that?" "The incoming wave of the Vrekar," Riven said quietly. "Their fleet, or maybe not a fleet. Maybe just one moving force. Our scanners can't define shapes inside it. All we know is that it destroys everything that gets too close." Alia felt a chill run through her. The Vrekar had never been seen clearly, even by human spies. Their ships were not like normal ships. They moved like a single mass. Some scientists believed they were machines. Others believed they were living beings. Nobody had ever survived long enough to confirm anything. But they were coming, and humanity was not prepared. Commander Harvin approached with a tablet in his hand. "Admiral," he said, "we finished the calculations. If Alia connects to the lattice core, she can create a shield strong enough to stop the first wave." Riven nodded. "Then we move forward." Alia looked at both men. "How long can the shield hold?" Harvin hesitated. "Maybe hours, maybe only minutes. It depends on your focus. On how well you can link with the core." Alia understood. "If I fail even a little..." Riven finished the sentence for her. "The station will be lost." There was no fear in his voice, only simple truth. Alia took a breath. "Then I won't fail." The chamber that held the lattice core was deep inside the station, protected by heavy reinforced walls and multiple energy locks. Only a handful of people had ever entered it. Alia was one of those people, but she had not used the core in many years. The last time she had connected to it, she was a child, before she became something else, something stronger. Inside the chamber, the air felt warm and hummed with soft vibrations. The core floated in the center, shining with pale blue light that pulsed gently like a heartbeat. Thin bands of energy spiraled around it, moving with beautiful precision. Alia stared at it with mixed feelings. "It looks unchanged," she said softly. Harvin gave her a small nod. "The lattice reacts only to you. It's been waiting, even if it doesn't think the way humans do." Alia stepped closer. The light of the core touched her skin with a soft glow. "I used to be afraid of it," Alia whispered. "It felt too big for me. Now," Riven said, "it fits you." She turned her head. What if I can't keep control? What if something goes wrong inside?" He answered gently. You don't need to carry everything alone. The core won't break you, Alia. It was built for someone like you." That helped her more than he knew. Alia reached out and placed her hand on the surface of the core. For a moment, nothing happened. Then a deep ringing sound filled the chamber. A sound too soft to hurt the ears, but strong enough to feel in the bones. Light rippled outward. The energy bands began moving faster, and Alia felt the connection form. It started like a warm flow moving from her fingertips up her arm, then into her chest. She closed her eyes as the core recognized her. Not as a cadet, not as a soldier, but as the child it had been waiting for, the one human who could fully bond with it. The chamber lights flickered. On the command deck, officers watched their screens fill with sudden readings. Energy levels rose sharply, higher than they had ever seen, but stable. No alarms triggered. Riven muttered, "She's doing it." Inside her mind, Alia saw not darkness but endless patterns, like stars connected by threads of soft blue light. The lattice core expanded her senses beyond anything physical. She could feel the entire station. She could feel the movement of air, the flow of power in every corridor, even the footsteps of the crew. She could also feel the oncoming pressure from the Vrekar wave. It pushed against space like a massive tide, bending invisible lines around it. Alia breathed slowly, letting her thoughts settle. She focused. The core responded. Energy flowed from her, through her, and then out into the station. A barrier formed around Aurelia, thin at first, like a soap bubble, then thicker as she pushed more strength into it. But the pressure from the outside kept rising. Alia tightened her focus. The barrier thickened, lights flared. Her heartbeat slowed and then aligned perfectly with the pulse of the core. It felt like she and the machine were one being. Then a sudden shock struck the shield. It felt like a giant hand slamming against her chest. Alia gasped. On the command deck, the officers jumped. "Impact detected!" someone shouted. "The wave has reached the perimeter!" The station trembled. The shield flickered. Alia steadied herself, forced her breathing calm, and pushed more energy forward. The shield brightened once again, but the pressure outside was growing stronger. Another impact, harder this time. Then another, and another. Alia felt each strike like a blow against her own body. The core helped, absorbing part of the force, but she felt the rest. It was like holding a heavy door against a storm. Her legs shook. Sweat formed on her forehead. Riven watched the readings. The shield was holding, but barely. "How long can she keep this up?" Harvin whispered. Riven's face was pale. "As long as she must." He believed in her, but he also knew the limits of any living being. Inside her mind, Alia saw shapes forming within the red wave. Dark silhouettes moved like shadows in deep water. They carried no expression, no emotion, no signal of peace. They simply pressed forward, trying to break through. One shape came closer than the rest. It pressed against the shield, sending sharp pain through her head. She steadied herself, feeling the pressure like needles behind her eyes. Her voice shook as she whispered, "Not yet. Not now." The shape pushed harder. The barrier trembled. Alia lifted her mental strength and focused every part of herself into one thought. Hold. For a moment, the shield brightened into a blinding white flare. The dark shape retreated slightly. Alia's knees weakened, and she almost fell. But she forced herself back upright. She couldn't collapse. Not now. The station depended on her. Everyone she cared about depended on her, even those who still didn't understand who she was. She pushed harder. The shield expanded again. For a quiet moment, the wave outside slowed. Not stopped, but slowed enough to give her a breath. Alia opened her eyes, panting softly. "Admiral," she whispered. Riven heard her through the comm link. "I'm here, Alia. I can't keep this forever. The wave is too strong. They're testing every weak point." "We know," he said gently. "Just hold on. Reinforcements are coming. The rest of the fleet is moving as fast as they can. Alia closed her eyes again, forcing calm into her thoughts. She would not break. She would not step back. She would hold until the last moment. Because she was not just a cadet. She was humanity's last weapon, and this was the first true test. Alarms echoed throughout Station Aurelia as the Vrakar wave pressed harder against the shield. Lights flickered. The floor shook every few seconds. Technicians ran between consoles, shouting updates. Officers tried to keep control, but the pressure was too much. Everyone knew the truth. The shield could break at any moment. But at the heart of the station, Alia stood inside the glowing lattice chamber with her hand on the core, keeping the barrier alive with every breath. Her legs trembled. Her shoulders shook. She could feel a heavy ache spreading through her body, like her bones were slowly turning to dust. Every second she held the shield, she pushed herself far beyond normal limits, yet her eyes stayed focused. Her will stayed strong. She would not fall. She would not let the station fall. Alia's voice was low, almost a whisper. Just a little more. Inside her mind, the shield appeared as a glowing dome of bright blue light. On the other side of it, dark shapes moved like shadows trying to crack glass. They pushed and scraped, leaving faint marks on the glowing surface. She could feel each mark like a sharp pain behind her eyes. The Vrakar wave was not slowing down. If anything, it felt stronger than before. A new pressure rose, heavier and more crushing. Alia gritted her teeth as the shield vibrated in her mind. "Admiral," she whispered through the comm link. Riven answered immediately. "I'm here. They are focusing on one point. They are trying to shatter the right side of the shield." Riven turned to his officers. "Redirect all external support to Sector 9! Now!" Energy cannons around the station turned, firing steady beams into empty space. They could not hurt the wave, but they could push its mass slightly. It was enough to give Alia a little more balance. Still, the pressure grew. Still, the wave pressed. And still, Alia refused to fall. On the command deck, tension built with every passing minute. Harvin studied the readings with wide eyes. "Admiral, the shield is at its limit. Alia can't hold this alone much longer." Riven's jaw clenched. "She won't be alone much longer." Harvin turned. "What do you mean?" "The 7th Fleet is almost here. Once they arrive, they'll take the pressure off the station." "But if the shield breaks before that..." Riven didn't let him finish. "It won't. Alia won't let it." His voice wasn't just hopeful. It was full of absolute trust. He had seen what Alia could do. He had watched her grow from a quiet child with strange abilities into someone who could stand against the greatest threat humanity had ever faced. But even with that faith, fear crept quietly inside him. Alia was human, not a machine, not indestructible. There was a limit, and she was dangerously close to it. Inside the lattice chamber, Alia felt the wave shift. A heavy crash hit the shield, like a giant hammer striking metal. Her body jerked. Pain rushed through her head. Her hand dug into the core, and for a second she almost lost the connection. The shield trembled. Alia gasped and pushed her mind forward, reinforcing the barrier. "No," she whispered. "Not yet." She steadied the shield again, but the wave struck harder. Her knees buckled. She almost fell, but she held on. She forced her voice to stay steady and contacted the Admiral. "Admiral, how far is the fleet?" "5 minutes," Riven answered. 5 minutes felt like an eternity. "I don't know if I have 5 minutes," she whispered. Riven answered immediately, the firmness in his tone like a lifeline. "You do. Because you're Alia. And I've seen you do the impossible before." Those words warmed something deep inside her. She drew strength from them, strength she didn't think she had left. The wave pushed again. Alia pushed back. But then, Something changed inside the wave. A different force emerged, heavier, colder, more concentrated. Alia's eyes widened. Something big is coming, something stronger than the rest, a leader or a core of their energy. Riven turned to Harvin. Is she right? Harvin swallowed, staring at the readings. She's more than right. Admiral, this energy spike it's huge, bigger than anything we've ever recorded. Riven whispered, a final strike. Alia steadied her breath. Then this is it. The wave gathered itself. In Alia's mind, it looked like a deep red storm swirling into a tight point. The energy condensed, sharp and focused. The station's shield trembled like stretched glass. Alia felt the fear rise in her chest, but she did not let it guide her. She focused. She gathered the core's energy. She prepared for the hit. The wave surged. Alia screamed silently inside her mind as the attack crashed into the shield. Everything shook. Her vision blurred. The shield almost snapped. The dome of blue light bent inward, cracking like thin ice. The command deck erupted in alarms. Shield breach forming! We're losing stability. She can't hold it. Riven slammed his fist on the console. Alia! Her voice came through the speakers, strained but fierce. I'm still here. She dug deep into the core. It felt like pulling from the deepest part of herself, a place she had never reached before. Energy exploded through her arms, her chest, her entire body. Her skin glowed with soft blue lines. She felt neither pain nor fear, only one clear purpose: hold. She forced the cracks to stop spreading. The shield steadied, but the wave pressed harder. Her strength was fading fast. Her hands shook uncontrollably. Her breaths came short and sharp, but she refused to fall. Because behind the shield stood every human life on the station. Because behind the shield stood the people who believed in her. Because behind the shield stood her home. At the exact moment Alia felt she could push no further, a loud beeping echoed on the command deck. Harvin's eyes widened. Admiral! The 7th Fleet has arrived! Outside the station, dozens of human ships exited hyperspace, engines burning bright. They moved into formation immediately, surrounding the station like guardians. Their energy cannons powered up in perfect harmony. Riven yelled, All ships, open fire on the wave! Give Alia space! Beams of bright light cut into the red mass. They didn't destroy it, but they disrupted it enough to lighten the pressure on the shield. Alia gasped as the weight lifted slightly. She felt the wave lose focus. The crushing force on the barrier weakened. The fleet pushed harder. Every ship fired as one. Slowly, the red storm began to retreat. Slowly, the pressure eased. Slowly, the dark shapes faded back into the wave. Alia felt the shield relax. Not break, just relax. It held firm now, not under desperate strain, but under steady control. She let out a long breath, tears forming in her eyes from relief. It's working, she whispered. They're pushing it back. Riven's voice echoed through the comm. You did it, Alia. No, she said weakly. We did it. Her legs finally gave out, but the shield remained strong. Hours later, the wave had fully retreated. The fleet kept watch as the station calmed. Repairs began. Officers returned to their duties. The crisis was not over. Everyone knew the Vrekar would return someday. But humanity had survived today. Because of a girl who looked like a cadet. Because of a girl who carried a power no one else had. Because of a girl who refused to break. Alia lay resting in the medical wing. Machines monitored her heartbeat, but she was awake, staring quietly at the ceiling. She was tired, more tired than she had ever been, but also peaceful. Riven entered the room quietly. When Alia saw him, she smiled. You did well, he said. So did everyone else, she replied softly. Riven shook his head. No, there are battles only one person can fight, and today, you fought the one only you could win. Alia looked at her hands. They were still trembling slightly from the energy she had used. "Will they come back?" "Yes," he said honestly. "Then I'll be ready." Riven smiled gently. "You already proved that." He placed a small silver badge on her bedside table. Alia stared at it. "What is that?" "Your promotion," Riven said. "You may look like a cadet, but humanity will never see you as one again." Alia closed her eyes, feeling a quiet warmth fill her chest. She had stood alone. She had held the line, and she had shown the entire galaxy what a single human could do.